Here goes the most epically long recipe title ever. Strawberry cheesecake, cottage cheese ice cream, gluten-free, graham cracker, white chocolate chip cookie sandwiches. Anything shorter just doesn't do them justice. The name might be long, but I'm excited to show you how easy they are to make. We start by making homemade strawberry cheesecake cottage cheese ice cream without an ice cream maker. Then we'll make soft and chewy, gluten-free white chocolate chip cookies that taste like a classic cheesecake graham cracker crust, but with almond flour and oat flour. And then we'll combine them to make delicious ice cream sandwiches. And you will be relieved to know that the entire recipe is naturally sweetened with maple syrup and only has 14 grams of sugar per sandwich. We're gonna start by making our strawberry cheesecake cottage cheese ice cream. And if you haven't had a chance to try this yet, you are in for a treat. So we're gonna take just an 8x8 pan, and then I'm just gonna line it with plastic. So if you lay your plastic over your pan and try to center it, and then gently push down in the middle, it will be wide enough to be able to go up both sides of your pan. And then this will make it really easy for us to remove our ice cream once it's frozen. All right, I'll go ahead and just set this aside. To make the cottage cheese ice cream, you could use a tall blender like a Vitamix or even an immersion blender or stick blender. I'm gonna go ahead and use my food processor. And so we're gonna start with 2 cups of cottage cheese. And you can use low fat, non-fat, whatever your preference. And then we'll add 3 ounces of cream cheese. And as our natural sweetener, we'll add 1/3 cup of maple syrup. And to wake up the flavors, we'll add 2 teaspoons of lemon juice, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now, if you know anyone like several members of my family, just the idea of cottage cheese is not the most appetizing because they're not real fond of that kind of curdled texture of cottage cheese. So blending it will break down that texture so it's nice and smooth. So go ahead and put on your lid, and you'll want to let this run for about a minute or 2 until you don't see any more of those little cottage cheese curds. Well, that looks perfectly smooth, and I don't see any of the cottage cheese curds. Now, what makes these ice cream sandwiches so beautiful is having that swirl of the cream color with the strawberry color. So to achieve that look, we're gonna spoon out more than half of our ice cream right into our pan. But then we'll want to leave about 1/2 cup in our blender. Then we just quickly spread this out with the spatula inside of our pan. And we'll set that aside. Next, we want to chop up some strawberries so that we have some really nice little bite-sized pieces throughout our ice cream. So I'm just gonna take 4 nice-sized strawberries, and using my little egg slicer here, we'll quickly slice down on them, and then pull them out, and then turn them sideways, give another slice, and then dump them into just a little bowl here. Now, of course, you could use a knife, but this just makes them nice and uniform, and it goes really quick. And it's #satisfying. Now we want to add 2 cups of fresh strawberries to the little bit of ice cream mixture that's still in our blender. We'll put on our lid and blend until smooth. Now we can finish our strawberry ice cream. So we'll go ahead and take our bowl of chopped strawberries and go ahead and just spread those out right on top of our white layer. And it's gonna have a really beautiful contrast when they're all swirled together inside of our ice cream sandwich. That smells so good. Just smells bright and fresh. And now we can go ahead and just pour in our mix of strawberries with our little bit of cream mixture. Now let's go ahead and quickly spread this around. And to get some beautiful swirls of white and pink inside of our ice cream sandwiches, so we're just gonna go through with a spoon and just kind of give our mixture little flips, which will create some really beautiful swirls. Because we don't want to mix it together too much, or else we'll lose the contrast between the white and the pink. Now we'll want to put this into the freezer for at least 2 hours, or until it's frozen enough that it will hold its shape when we press down with a cookie cutter. And now we can make our gluten-free graham cracker white chocolate chip cookies. I came up with this recipe to replicate that delicious graham cracker crust that we typically have with a cheesecake. We'll begin with 2/3 cup of coconut sugar and 1/3 cup of butter. And then with our mixer, we're just gonna mix these until well combined. Next, we're going to add 1 egg, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and then to give it that unique graham cracker flavor, we're simply going to add 2 tablespoons of molasses. And then we'll just mix these until well combined. Next, we'll add our dry ingredients, which is 1 1/4 cup of oat flour. And you can use regular or old-fashioned oats and just quickly grind them in a blender to make your own flour. Then we'll add 1 cup of almond flour, which will add a really nutty flavor and nutritional value. Then we'll add 1/4 cup of tapioca flour, which really improves the texture. Then I have 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And then we'll just mix these together until well combined. And then last but not least, we want to add 1/3 cup of our white chocolate chips. And I'll just gently stir those in with a spatula. And depending on what size you want your cookies to be, you can use a small or medium cookie scoop. I'm gonna go ahead and use my small stainless steel cookie scoop. And these cookies do have a nice spread to them, so you will want to give them just a little bit of space in between each other. Well, our tray is full, and these are ready to go into a 350-degree oven for 10 minutes. Well, I've baked all the cookies and allowed them to cool on my counter. And I have a batch of our strawberry cheesecake cottage cheese ice cream that I made up earlier that is ready to go. By lining it with the plastic makes it super easy to just lift it right out of the pan and right onto our counter. Now, one thing to keep in mind with this cottage cheese ice cream is that it is not going to be like traditional ice cream that is smooth and creamy no matter how long it's been in the freezer. Once this ice cream is completely frozen, you will need to let it thaw for about 10 to 15 minutes before it's going to be soft enough to be able to serve. But once it does thaw just for that short amount of time, it will be creamy and yummy and perfect. I baked some of the cookies using the smaller cookie scoop, but then I also made some using the larger scoop. Now, to cut out our ice cream, I love using these nested cookie cutters because they have lots of different sizes, and then they give you the option of having the scalloped edge or just the smooth round edge. So what we can do is take our cookie and decide which size cutter we think will work best. So I allowed this tray of ice cream to sit out for about 15 minutes while I was finishing baking the cookies. And as you can see, it's perfectly soft to be able to push in our cookie cutter. And then we get this perfect little circle. And by having this plastic, it makes it easy for us to get our hand underneath it. And then we can just drop the circle of ice cream directly onto our cookie. Take a second cookie and then just gently squish them together. And then we have this yummy, delicious strawberry cheesecake cottage cheese, gluten-free, graham cracker, white chocolate chip cookie sandwich. Now, I really like making these smaller size cookies because then it's a little more of a snack during the day, and then it reduces the sugar amount. And look how cute that is. And then what's really fun is if you have maybe a slightly misshapen cookie, that you can just come in and scrape up some of this delicious and creamy ice cream, and then that is incredible. I cannot describe to you how delicious that tastes. I get the crunchy and chewy cookie, and then I go right into just that creamy strawberry ice cream. And then I get that little extra sweetness from the white chocolate chip, and then the fresh strawberries that are just super vibrant and flavorful. That is so delicious. Now, keep in mind though, this is a treat, and so it should be eaten in moderation. But at least you know you're having something that is naturally sweetened, that's nutrient dense, that's high in protein, and that's gonna make you feel really good after eating it. And by combining the protein with the carbs, it will minimize the glucose spike. So here's a really yummy tip on what to do with any of your extra ice cream. Go ahead and just take an ice cube tray, and then you can go ahead and just scoop together the ice cream and then just fill the tray. And then you're going to have these little frozen bite-sized bits of ice cream that you can pull out and enjoy anytime. And then one more tip of what you can do with any of your extra ice cream is make popsicles out of them. So just take your popsicle mold and scrape together your ice cream, and then we'll just scoop it right into our mold. So the only thing more delicious than having this ice cream on our cookie is having it on a stick as a popsicle. And these are my favorite popsicle molds because they lay horizontal, and so it's really easy to be able to get your mixture in, and then once they freeze, it's really easy to get your popsicle out. Plus, you can have a lot of fun with what you put inside the popsicle and freeze along the edges. So once you fill the popsicle mold, you just poke the stick in the side. And you might have to move your ice cream around to accommodate the stick. And into the freezer it goes. I hope you enjoyed making these ice cream sandwiches with me in my kitchen today. I love these. They are emotionally satisfying, physically satisfying, and they're also really fun and creative to make. If you'd like to see the full recipe card for this video, I've included a link in the description below, and it's also on my website, gentletummy.com. And I also invite you to like and subscribe to my channel. And if you know someone else who you think would love this delicious recipe, please share this video with them. And I cannot wait to have you with me again in my kitchen next time.